WiseGuyBets here with some picks and analysis from DraftKings main slate tonight. Today's date is 8/25/2021. It's a Wednesday. We have 10 games on the slate for tonight. All picks that I give out should be used in GPP, guaranteed prize pool, which is tournaments, and tiers. You can use them in tiers also, where a tiers tournament is where you're trying to get the most points out of each position. So let's go ahead and look at the start with the pitcher position. At pitcher, I'm looking at Lucas Giolito for Chicago White Sox. His projection on that is 19.3 fantasy points. He has a 3.77 ERA. He's pitching around 5.9 innings per game. He's averaging 19 fantasy points over 25 games. His last 3 games, fantasy point-wise, has been 34, 16, 26. Played well lately. He's 8,300 on DraftKings. The Blue Jays are 8 for 33 against him. They're batting .242 against him. And his last 5 overall has been 23 -4, 34, 16, and 26. That's pretty good. We did have a -4 in there. They probably got to him early that day. His last 5 against Toronto, I think the last 2 are relevant, 31 and 18. So Lucas Giolito is someone I'm trying to get in my lineup tonight at the pitcher position. Let's look at the catcher position. At catcher, I'm looking at Max Stassi for the LA Angels against Baltimore. His projection on that is 6.9 fantasy points. He has 11 homers on the season. He's batting .271. He's getting around 3.3 at-bats per game. He's averaging 7 fantasy points over 64 games. His last 3 games has been 0-0-14. He's coming off 14. That game, he probably had a home run, or he maybe had two hits and scored a run. But he has a 27% advantage according to Draft Dashboard over the pitcher he's facing. His last 5 against Baltimore has been 5-0-10, 5 and 14. I like him in this position. He's 4,100, paying a little bit more than I like to pay for a catcher sometimes, because I do not see a clear catcher that I really would like to take. I think he is probably the best choice, maybe Will Smith for the Dodgers, since San Diego's pitching staff is horrible right now. But I'm going with Max Stassi for the LA Angels. Let's look at the first base position. At first base, we're looking at Travis Shaw for Boston. His projection on that is 6.3 fantasy points. He has 8 homers on the season. He's batting .194 on the season. He's getting around 3.1 at-bats per game. He's averaging 5 fantasy points over 60 games. His last 3 has been 0-20-16. He's 3,700 on DraftKings. He's playing very well. In his last few games, Draft Dashboard says he has a 22% advantage against the pitcher he's facing. I like the over-under run total of 10.5. His last 5 games against Minnesota has been 17, 16, 0, 0, and 16. So when he's produced against Minnesota, he has produced. You do see 2 zeros in there, so hopefully we can get him on the good side tonight where he can get us, over 15 fantasy points. His last 5 games overall has been 9, 0, 0, 20, and 16. It is a little concerning that he's coming off 2 big games. We may be, see a letdown, but I'm going with the numbers here. I think Mr. Shaw can come through and exceed his 6.3 projection on a salary at 3,700. I'll take the 10 fantasy points that I think he will get us tonight. So Travis Shaw, someone I want to get into my lineup tonight at the first base position. Let's look at the second base position. At second base, we're looking at Colton Wong for Milwaukee. His projection on that is 8. He has 11 homers on the season. He's batting .290. He's getting around 3.8 at-bats per game. He's averaging 8 fantasy points over 85 games. His last 3 games has been 16, 30, 23. He's 3,900 on DraftKings. He's 9 for 22 against the pitcher that he's facing, batting .409 with 5 singles, 2 doubles, 1 triple, 1 home run. And he's had great success against the pitcher he's facing. He's been lead off in the lineup. His last 5 against Cincinnati has been 4, 24, 15, 11, 23. So he's been killing Cincinnati. I don't see no reason why that cannot continue tonight against a pitcher that he's had great success against. So Colton Wong is someone I definitely want to get into my lineup tonight at the second base position. Let's look at the third base position. At third base, I'm looking at Donaldson for Minnesota, another player from this Minnesota-Boston game, with a run total of 10.5. His projection on that is 9.4 fantasy points. He's batting .248 on the season. He's getting around 3.3 at-bats per game. He's averaging 7 fantasy points over 98 games. His last 3 games has been 16, 0, and 21. He's 3,600 on DraftKings. He's 4 for 12 against the pitcher he's facing. But out of those 4 hits, 3 are my home runs. Something one you definitely want to look at. He actually has a 1.468 on-base percentage against the pitcher he's facing tonight. His last 5 against Boston has been 17, 10, 0, 7, 21. I like him in his position. I like his success rate against the pitcher he's facing. I love the 3 home runs that he has against the pitcher he's facing in only 12 at-bats. Donaldson is someone I definitely want to try to get into my lineup tonight at the third base position. Let's look at the shortstop position. At shortstop, we're looking at Fernando Tatis Jr. I'm going to ride Fernando out until he comes through. He didn't have a good night last night. Good night on his terms. He only had 7 fantasy points. San Diego need wins, and for them to win, Tatis Jr. has to produce. They lost last night to the Dodgers. They need a win big time. He's very expensive, usually the most expensive player on the slate at 6,400. He's 5 for 15 against the pitcher he's facing, 3 singles, 2 home runs. So hopefully we get something out of him tonight. Hopefully he's not pressing. Hopefully we get something. His last 5 games against the Dodgers have been 37, 21, 0, 7, and 7. His last 5 overall is 2, 6, 4, 5, and 7. He's going to break out of that sooner or later. Tonight could be the night. Fernando Tatis Jr. is someone I definitely want to try to get in my lineups at the shortstop position. Let's look at the outfield. In the outfield, I'm looking at Marte for Arizona. His projection on night is 10. He has 7 homers on the season. He's batting .354. He's getting around 3.7 at-bats per game. He's averaging 9 fantasy points over 57 games. His last 3 games, fantasy point-wise, has been 11, 10, and 16. He's 4,700 on DraftKings. He doesn't have any bats against the pitcher he's facing tonight. His last 5 against Pittsburgh is 7, 2, 8, 10, and 16. There may be a better choice in the outfield tonight. Mr. Marte has one of the highest projections for tonight. I like him in this position, and I'm going to go with him. I mean, you can probably look at Juan Soto, who's more expensive, but I think Marte is in a very good position tonight to produce based on his salary at 4,700. I think he gets us the 10 projection that he has and maybe a little bit more. So those are my picks for today. If my picks help you, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to my channel so you know when new videos are posted. Hope you learned something from this video. Thanks for watching, and see you on the next video.